Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Pisces and the coronavirus, aka COVID-19. And what I'm going to be talking about, yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Now, as far as what I'm going to elaborate, as far as what I'm talking about, as far as Pisces and the coronavirus goes, basically, I'm going to talk about areas of life that they may be impacted and affected strongly, and how they may deal and cope with this, etc. So anyway, well, first thing up is, well, Neptune is still in Pisces, so the first house is what is emphasized and highlighted. For Pisces, Neptune can be associated with diseases. Pisces can be about ones that can't be eradicated or cured. You're talking about the first house, the physical body. This is where Pisces needs to be really careful at this time. They're not exactly known for a robust immune system. Their resistance to disease could be very weak. I'd say Pisces and Cancer are the two zodiac signs are the ones with the weakest constitution. I would say it'd be fairly safe to say that. Now, the thing about it is Pisces will let this impact their appearance a little bit more so than usual if they do happen, especially if they do happen, excuse me, to get it. And also, even if they don't actually contract it, because remember, Pisces is very sensitive to what's going on around them. They might even subconsciously mimic the behavior of those around them. That could be people that actually have contracted the coronavirus, people that they may know very well, that figure prominently in their life scheme. Could also be a grandmother in some cases may contract this. It might be somebody that was prominent in their early childhood. And this could also have a very strong impact on Pisces' outlook on life. Now, that could be true for anybody, regardless of their zodiac sign, but it may be especially true for Pisces because the first house is connected with our outlook on life, and especially if this is actually hitting the first house in one's actual natal chart. This is something where because Pisces, I mean, they're about, I mean, idealism, and they're about compassion. This could be where the outlook might even become more spiritual. Say if they wind up getting this and they survive, and I mean, you just Pisces will be very strongly impacted as far as their outlook. I believe that they do have going through this transit now. Another thing, and if Pisces does happen to get this, their vitality and energy level will, of course, be strongly affected by it, and even new beginnings might be strongly impacted by this if Pisces does happen to contract this. Pisces is not exactly known for their initiative and enterprise. They could be, I call like the zodiac sign Cancer, inveterate procrastinators. And the fact is that they have enough trouble with new beginnings. They're going to might even have more if they're in a situation, whether they get it or they're in a confinement situation. Say if we're back in lockdown in a lot of locations, that could impact the new beginnings, because obviously if you're in a situation where you're confined more frequently, that could impact your new beginnings very strongly. Now, Pluto will still be in Capricorn, of course, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Pisces. Pluto can be associated with viruses. So, I mean, I look at Neptune and Pluto as being the two planets really strongly associated with this kind of disease and virus. Now, you're looking at 11th house. Pisces can be strongly affected by this as far as their friends and acquaintances go. Pisces can really be very timid, and they're not necessarily ones that are going to be going out and making a lot of friends to begin with. And the fact is, and if they're going through this situation and they're in a confinement situation, or they wind up getting, of course, they are going to be very strongly affected in terms of their friends, their acquaintances, even group involvement, and even and it could be in some cases where a friend or an acquaintance of theirs they may contract this, and it could also be a stepchild if applicable. Now, this is something too where this might have more of an impact and effect on Pisces aspirations and goals, more so than the average, than most people at this time, as far as other zodiac signs go. Pisces I mean, they are not, I mean, because in a solar natal chart, the zodiac sign Pisces is going to often have the zodiac sign Capricorn on the 11th house cusp, and Capricorn could be the sign connected with restrictions and fear. So as far as new aspirations and goals go, Pisces may not generally have they may not have them set. They may be very undefined for Pisces. And when you're talking about this, you're having a transit like this, and this is something where it might even affect it even more than it might even give it more restriction than usual. And also, this is something too where it might affect their social networking a little bit more so than usual. Whether it might make it, they might actually be on there. They may actually be on there more because Pisces is known for isolation and seclusion. Anyway, it's the sign associated with that, and if they're inside, that could be an indicator that they would actually getting more involved with social media and social networking more so than usual. So anyway, well, as far as Pisces sensitive areas go, I mean, this could be, as far as physically. Now, they might, the coronavirus, if they happen to get this, I mean, coronavirus can cause some body aches, and I would say that could be virtually any part of the body. Now, Pisces is associated with the feet and the toes, so Pisces might feel, some kind of aching or, muscular ache, some kind of body ache in those areas, in the feet and the toes areas. And remember that the coronavirus is also tied in with the mucous membranes. And Pisces, the lymphatic system might be strongly affected by this if they do happen to contract this. Pisces also, again, they're not known for a robust immune system. They don't have the best root. They really have their resistance to diseases and can be very can really be weak. Their recuperative powers are not very strong either. So Pisces really, if they get this, they really have to follow the quarantine situation, the situation where they have to follow the protocol the best of their ability, more so than most signs, because because again, their recuperative powers are not really very strong. So that is something that you take into consideration if you are Pisces. Now, the thing about another thing too is that on a solar natal chart, the zodiac sign Leo often will fall on the sixth house cusp in that chart for Pisces. And the sixth house, of course, is associated with physical issues, physical debilitations, and being in Leo. Well, Pisces might have some issues if they contract this. It might be some issues with the upper back. There might be some matter with a stroke or heart attack in some isolated cases. So Pisces really needs to be wary and be careful as far as this goes. If they do happen to get they get the coronavirus. So, and the thing about Pisces too is remember that it's a sign of isolation, seclusion, confinement. It might not be a major transition for Pisces if they have to go into a situation where they're in isolation for more of a protracted or prolonged period. Pisces can be very introverted. It is a feminine sign. But the thing about it is if they do get it, or they have some friends or prominent family members that get this, they could also be very idealistic about this. But at the same time, they can be unrealistic, and they have to guard against being overly unrealistic and thinking, say, oh, there's going to be recovery in 2 weeks when it might actually take 4 or 5. They also are not exactly known for being punctilious with details. Remember, it's the opposite sign of Virgo. So Pisces, they're not really, they might forget some things and some precautions that they may have to take in this situation. So that it's something just to remember that Pisces really needs. If they have to compile a list and write things down, and that's what needs to be done, because their memory is not really exactly very strong either. So anyway, but the thing about Pisces too is that they're often rather mediumistic and very intuitive. They might see the road ahead. They're the ones that might often be able to project, and based on not really going through the analysis that Virgo would, but they could still see what's going on generally ahead in terms of they see uh, if this situation will dissipate or dissolve and when it would, things of that nature. They seem to just they have very good insight because they are very intuitive. If Pisces is confined as a result of this, they might go into their fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons, or playing like that Warcraft game, video games in general. If they're a sports fanatic, they might be playing like hypothetical sports matchups, sports simulation matchups, like on whatifsports.com. Hold on a moment, people. They might get into prayer more and meditation even. Now, if let's say if they contract this, remember that Pisces is known to be very emotional. Their emotions can be all-encompassing, but at the same time, they might keep that idealistic outlook that everything's going to be okay. The thing about it is, even though Pisces is a feminine sign and they incline more toward pessimistic behavior and thought and negative behavior as opposed to positive, they are co-ruled by, not, I mean, they're ruled by Neptune, but they're also co-ruled by Jupiter, and they could also be about hope and inspiration. So they will often do things to give others hope, even through adverse periods. Many of you may know that renowned motivational guru Tony Robbins is a Pisces sun. He's constantly about hope and inspiration. He also has a Libra ascendant, best of my knowledge, so that gives a little more positive energy. The fact that his ascendant is in a masculine sign. I believe his moon is in Aries as well, so that's another masculine sign. So that does help his case to have more positive energy. Now another thing is, if they happen to have a friend or family member that contracts this, remember that Pisces can be very altruistic and very compassionate. They will often sacrifice a lot of their time to help that person or persons out, people out, I should say. And they're also very imaginative. They might come up with some kind of ways to really help these people out, and really using their imagination and doing things really where, I mean, it was like I was talking about in the other videos, talking about for Aquarius. Well, that could apply to Pisces to some degree, because Aquarius could be ingenious, Pisces can be imaginative. I was talking about something with a vapor, some kind of vaporizer, and dropping some iodine in it. Remember, Pisces can be about kind of gaseous things, vapors, so that could be something up their alley. They might be inclined more to use maybe vapors and doing, as far as vaporizing, just as far as, I'm talking about like buying like a vaporizer to help alleviate possible breathing issues is what I'm talking about, as far as vapor energy goes, you could say. And they can be very spiritual. They may be the most spiritual sign on average, being ruled by Neptune, and they're also about inspiration as well. So they will a lot of Pisces might be more inclined toward prayer than most during this period. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.